Hello everybody, Xander here, and today we're back with another book review, though a late one. I'm still happy to be doing another one. And this is the latter half of my May reading list. And it's going to be almost over, and we can finally move on to June, actual June. So today we are reviewing Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is what the back of the book says is her adult debut, because all of her other books have been young adult, categorized as young adult, such as her Six of Crows series, which I've read and talked about before on the channel. I really enjoyed those books, so I was excited to read this and see what she could do, not only with a more specifically adult oriented story, but also one in a more contemporary setting, as this is set in a sort of fictional version of New York. Well, we're in New York State. Like, there's a whole area called New Haven, which houses a bunch of different college sort of houses related to the secret art of magic that most of the world doesn't know about. And all of the students who go there get to learn about that magic and sort of, put their skills to use for these secret societies. And the book follows Alex, who is a young woman who has just, kind of gotten into this college after having a pretty rough life, and she's like shown the ropes by this guy named Darlington, who we kind of go back and forth in and out between him actually being a character and then other times where he's just mentioned and he's somewhere else. So that's a good chunk of the plot. He's in the present day, Darlington is somewhere else, while Alex is trying to solve a mystery that has kind of stumped the college grounds, and she's got to kind of figure out what's going on, because no one else is really doing much of anything other than the very simple possibility of, what happened. So it's in a way a mystery, but I would say it's fiction. But it's also like something I've heard of on Book Talk, or at least on like Book Talk video thumbnails. Something called dark academia. So it's essentially like a very like dark or just gothic sort of book set in a school type of setting, and I think it mostly started with a book I've heard of, Secret History. I think it's called Secret History by Donna Tartt, and some other books. I think it's also a book, but I know the movie The Skulls could probably also be considered dark academia. It's been a while since I've seen that movie, so I don't remember enough, but I think it's kind of in that genre a bit, but in a movie form. So there's a lot going on, but more than that, it's also kind of a fantasy novel, because Stephen King, in this quote right here, says it's a fantasy novel. So I guess that's what you can classify it as in terms of an actual genre, if you're looking for it at Barnes & Noble, which is where I found it, in the sci-fi fantasy section. So if you're wanting to actually look for it, but if you want to classify it better, it's like dark academia. So there is a lot of magic stuff going on, so it is enough to classify it as fantasy, but there is a lot that happens that just feels kind of normal and slightly laid back with a whole mystery going on. most of the magic is based around spiritual stuff and ghosts, so it's not like, classic magic per se. It's definitely an interesting book. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to talk about. I don't want to spoil anything really, but I'll say some stuff, or give some points without spoiling. First off, do I like this more than her other work? Her other work so far for me being the Six of Crows duology, because I have not read the first book in the Grisha trilogy yet, so that's all I've read. And no, I don't think this is better than those, at least in my opinion. I think I kind of liked those books a little better, just not because it was more fantasy-like, but more because I felt the characters were more interesting, and in a way I like the plot a little more. But that's not saying this is bad. It's just not entirely my thing. Even though I'm going to college soon, so this book should be pretty fitting. It's, it's kind of like other school, college-related stuff I have seen in the past, which again doesn't say this book is bad. That's not me saying that. It's just, it was fine for me in most places. It wasn't bad, but I didn't quite care for the back and forth between time period or timelines, because it's not that big of a jump in time. It just felt slightly confusing sometimes because I don't always read books speedily. I read one or two chapters in a good chunk of time, and then later on I'll do the same thing again. So sometimes I'll move on and be like, oh, okay, so we're here, but it's not awful. It's just something I had to get used to. And then actual characters, I think Alex is an alright character. It's she's not, because there can be a good amount of times where someone writes a character who has a traumatic past and doesn't like dealing with people, or a bunch of other things leading to them being kind of shut off from other people and being kind of aggressive. Sometimes that can come off as mean, actually mean, you the reader think that's kind of mean, and it doesn't acknowledge it as such that much. Yeah, I'm not the best with people, but so and so. Thankfully she's not bad in that case. It's just slightly hard to get through at first, or kind of a sort of after the first 50 or so pages, but after the first 100, where I'm kind of okay, she's fine. But yeah, she's an alright character. All the other characters are serviceable. I can't say I remember them as much as the characters from Bardugo's other books. Darlington's, alright. He's got his own story that I was able to follow, and he's got some sort of personality. But it's not as fully finalized or explored as much as I wanted it to be. Alex, her story is explored well enough, which makes sense. She's the main character, so that's good. But there's some loose ends, and that's because they were setting up a sequel, because this book kind of spoilers, ends on a sequel bait ending. So it leads into the next book, and there is another book, Hellbent. I don't have it yet, so it'll be a bit before I can get that and read it, because there's part of me that wants to read her vampire book that came out, The Familiar, because that'll be a little something different, and I can kind of see if what I assume is adult writing, her adult writing translates to like a different setting, or works with a different setting. But yeah, I feel like this is a decent book. It's just not like my favorite, but I didn't hate reading it. Leia Bardugo is a good writer, and I enjoyed most of the descriptions. It is like interesting her writing a more contemporary setting, and also that mixed in with a bit of Alex's perspective, because even though it's a third person book, there's like those moments of it kind of feeling like it's from Alex's mind a bit, outside of the in mind bits of text. So there's that. I guess if I am to recommend this, because some of you guys might like this better, especially if you're into dark academia, know that there is some unsavory stuff that happens to women in this book, if you know what I mean, at least 2 times. So that was not great to read, but I guess because it's part of the story, it's, I don't know, I'm not the biggest expert on that sort of thing, but just so you know. In terms of a rating, because I'm doing that, I like to do that, it's a tough one, but because I introduced the usage of 0.5s in my ratings after Furiosa, I can do that if I want to. If I think one rating is mostly good enough, but I would prefer a slight step above, but not like one whole over, if you know what I mean. So I might do that with this. So doing that, I'm gonna give Leia Bardugo's Ninth House a 6.5 out of 10. For the most part, I wouldn't want to give it a 6, so 6.5 is fine, but in the end, it wasn't fully for me. Or at least it just didn't hit as hard and make me think, oh, I love all these characters and I want more. I mean, I'm still probably going to read the sequel, see what happens if it gets more interesting, but I don't know. I'll definitely read The Familiar and see what that's like, because I do want to read more Bardugo, just not entirely, this, but that's alright. So that was my review. Hope you enjoyed it. If you liked it, please like, and if you like the channel, or like me, make sure to comment and check out tell me what you thought, and then subscribe to the channel and check out some of my other book stuff. I mostly do book stuff, but I also do some movie and TV review things. Not as much TV right now. It's just because there's a lot going on, so I can't always make time for that, but I'll try to. So again, hope you enjoyed. Take care, guys. Have a good day.